I'll take you to next. So open index.jsp. Everyone has got, I had shared the 7.1 zip just before breaking. So here, the whole idea is to show you the expression tag. So we are talking about JSP scripting elements, which are scriptlets, expressions, and later declaration. So what will you call this? Is it a scriptlet? Is it an expression, or is it a declaration? The moment you say percent equal to, it is a JSP expression. And how does it behave? You just have to pass, you can pass any dynamic expression or even constant expression. That constant any expression, and it will evaluate to a result. Result will be converted to string if it is not string already, and sent to the client browser. So here everyone knows, if you take the cursor, this is nothing but your HTTP session, and you can see it is from the JSP service. Whatever you write in the expression gets sent to JSP service. So printing the session ID. When you now press the link. So when the client clicks on the link, testing scriptlet, this is how you're going to revise in the first 1 hour or whatever hour of the lab session today. So then the control will go to login.jsp. And here, when you say whatever, login.jsp, here it's just a form, but I have made it slightly dynamic. So what did you see? Was the session ID same or different for a particular client? Everyone should know it by now. For a particular client, of course, the same. It is the same session which is continuing, and I have not yet discarded the session. But now, of course, our break was 1 hour. So half an hour, I mean, the timeout is, expiration time is half an hour. So earlier session must have got expired already. We'll check that. When the form is submitted, it is submitted to display page. And this is where you saw the example of initially scriptlets. And the last example only was for your, what is it? Your expression tag getting the request parameter request data. Has everyone understood the syntax of JSP expression by now? Is it clear? Okay. So now you can go to your client-side browser. Oh, I have closed all that thing, so I can't just. So we'll do that, but let's do login to logout quickly. I'm saying it took us so much time to trace the login to logout flow. Things become so simple, so easy with JSP syntax. So come to the display page. Okay. And here, give me a logout link. Add a logout link here. We have not yet written logout.jsp, which we will write in a minute. Okay. So add this. And here, when the user clicks on this link, client pull one, which is the next page you are going to write is logout.jsp. So add that. Web app, new JSP, logout. Here, I'm not saying remembering the client, all those things we are going to do, but over time. So here, give a message, something you have logged out. Okay, you have logged out successfully, and give a link to visit again. Directly take it to index page, index.jsp. Okay. So what is it we have to call, which is the method of HTTP session we have to call to actually discard the session? Those who are not typing along can always respond. Invalidate is the method, right? So don't call that invalidate method. Observe and conclude. Anything and everything, observing and concluding is so easy in JSP. So just add that. Go to your web browser. Localhost 9090 B 7.1. Okay. So keep observing. So here, something like FB. Same session continues. You say log me out. Oh, I forgot to put a J session ID. You can add that. Of course, it will be the same. That's not the question. Anyone wants to tell me, when I click on visit again, from that login page, from that index page, do you expect to see the same session ID or different? Same, because where you have the same session continues. I'm saying this, my favorite statement. This I make it to all the beginners. Whatever you have not understood in servlets, guys, take today as a chance to revisit servlet concepts, but using JSP syntax. So you'll do best of both. I mean, you'll understand everything, each and everything in servlet, and you'll learn the JSP syntax also. Because somebody was asking me, I think earlier day, what is that exactly happening with invalidate? So now we want to fix that. We don't want this mistake. So open logout page, and what is the extra code you have to write is invalidate method. So tell me, from which, how should I call this invalidate method? Your choices are JSP scriptlet or JSP expression. S or E. You're saying expression, wrong. What is the return type? When I say one wrong, of course, the other one. What is the return type of invalidate method? Void. So can you call anything which is returning void, which is not returning result from the JSP expression? Absolutely not. So guys, don't blindly give me answers. Think for a minute and then answer. So here I'm giving, open a scriptlet and simply call, I can access. So this thing, what is it I can access is any JSP implicit object, do that. And run the code and see any difference at all. This is the same session, same client sending multiple requests, testing scriptlets, log me out, and you should definitely see the different JSession ID created for the same client, maybe same browser I'm using, but a different JSession ID is created. Anytime you feel confused, lost, open the inspect tool, which I have already spent a lot of time in the last week, and you can confirm the internals. Understood or not understood? Same things I had discussed in servlet, same things I'm showing you, of course, with the JSP syntax. Okay, so now let us do some things more. Open this. I'm just checking. Okay, open index.jsp and let's add a link here. See, some things I'm showing, whatever you don't understand, you have to try it on your own. So let's say test one. Let me start a test series. Testing EL implicit objects. Okay. So right now, don't worry about what my point is. Just do this link. I'll send you this link anytime you want. You just copy. And we're going to create a new page for that. I just want to show you once page versus page context. That's it. Okay. So do that. So when anyone clicks on this testing EL implicit objects, which is the next page you will have to write? Test1.jsp. Are you getting this? I mean, just creating JSP, simple JSPs. New JSP, test1.jsp. Give the title here. You can add your bootstrap and all that if you want. Right now, I'll say don't waste time. So I'll say EL implicit. Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry. I got ahead of time. This is JSP. I've not yet explained the EL syntax. Expression language syntax is the next topic. So sorry for that. JSP implicit objects, which are request, response, session, config, out, page context, etc. I thought I said something wrong. Okay, so please correct the hypertext. And here, I'm not writing the whole of them. I'm just writing some of them. JSP implicit objects. Okay. And let's do it. Okay, so with the, suppose I want to say page. So percent equal to, and all implicit objects you can access. You just have to take a cursor there and you will know what it is. It is going to be created under JSP service, which has servlet request, servlet response. So now do it little faster. Pick up some of them. I'm just picking up some things. My main thing is people get confused in the beginning. Sometimes she says, I say page, sometimes I say page context. So for that. So here you print page context. Then I just to show you some of them. Request. Suppose I want to see. You want to see session. What is that? Session holding. And one more I just want to show you. Exception. You remember exception object. Percent equal to exception. And observe and conclude. Just take a cursor here and you'll see exception cannot be resolved to a variable because this a page called as error handling page. I've not even shown you what is error handling page. So you cannot access the exception object from here. Okay. So just how do you put a comment? Mark that and say Control, Shift and /. This only as a reminder. So I'll send you this. What is the name of the page here? test1.jsp. So that you'll not lag behind. 7.1 src main web test1.jsp. And let's see whether you understand the output. So you can refresh this. You'll see the link appearing. JSP implicit object and worth spending a minute. So let me wait till everyone reaches. You let me know whenever you are done because we want to see the output together. We want to understand the output together. I've sent you test1.jsp. So, okay. So now start understanding. This is the output of your page. I'm just trying to explain what is the meaning of that page, JSP implicit object. So answer, which is the JSP file I wrote? test1.jsp. What is the name of the translated page class? test1_JSP. And what are you looking at? You are looking at nothing but the toString or that current object, the object which corresponds to the translated page class, which is what? Since it is Tomcat, org Apache JSP, I have shown you this class. If you have seen it in the translated folder, the name of the class @hashcode. So this is all. This represents your current page. Understood the meaning of page? Is it really going to be useful or kind of useless? It is kind of useless. Other than understanding purpose, it doesn't have. But on the other hand, when you talk about page context, you remember we said page context. So page context was an abstract class. Abstract classes cannot be instantiated. So you remember there's a Jasper jar. JSP specific APIs. So from Jasper jar, this is the concrete subclass. And this is what you're going to use so many places little later. Now, I had printed request. So tell me, what is the data type of request implicit object? Data type of request. Quickly, simple questions I'm asking you. Request type, HTTP servlet request. Absolutely right. So is it a servlet API or is it a JSP API? S or J? Servlet API. So where will be that implementation class? In the Jasper jar or in the Catalina jar? In Catalina jar. And can you see this? org Apache Catalina. And this is the name of that implementation class, request facade. And that is what is implementing your HTTP servlet request interface. One thing, guys, does anyone expect you to know the names of the implementation classes? Absolutely not. People do not care. People will just grill you, interviewers, I'm saying, only for J2E compliant stuff. So should you remember HTTP servlet request, or should you remember this request facade name of the class? HTTP servlet request, people will ask you. All J2E compliant stuff. And similarly, last one, when I say session, what is the type? HTTP session. But it is an interface, servlet API. And you can see that the implementation class is standard session facade. In short, some implementation class. Getting the feel of it, understanding the meaning of JSP expression, and how easy it is to print the JSP implicit objects. Clear or not clear? So these are the very easy ways in JSP to print. I just got one yes. What others are doing? Either say yes or no. So something, I mean, I need some response, you know that. So this is very easy to find out the more meaning. But if you ask me, are people really using JSP? Answer is not much. There are certain, I'll tell you, in Spring MVC implementation, people still use, I said, in Spring MVC based web application, Spring Boot MVC. We are going to do that together later, of course, after Hibernate. So in Spring based web application, there are two choices to create a view layer. One is the JSP. That is why I'm spending so much time. And of course, it is in the contents. And other option is Thymeleaf. But that will be a monolithic web application. So if you want to take up a project, I'll never advise monolithic web application. Otherwise, you can show them only I know Java. But if you want to show cross technology, full stack. That is where the React and Spring Boot or REST APIs and all will come in. So that time you will hardly require JSPs. Okay, so understanding that. Now coming back to the point, what we have looked at is scriptlets and expressions. But whenever I take you to Spring MVC based web application, first I'm going to show you Spring MVC based web application, and then I'm going to take you to RESTful APIs. I mean, the back end, front end, and all that. So that time we are still going to use JSP. So in that case, are we going to use JSP expressions, or is there a better alternative? Answer is 100% yes. So the better alternative, crisper alternative, shortcut alternative to JSP expressions is something called as EL syntax. So what is that EL standing for? Expression language syntax. Today I have not given any other sequence because what we are following is nothing but readme JSP. So read this slowly. You keep that open. I'll just highlight only this much. Read only this much. Okay, let me start discussing it with you. What are we discussing? A better alternative than using percent equal to JSP expression, a crisper syntax. Expression language syntax. It is available since long back. We are in JSP 2.5, so it is very much available. So what is the syntax? Read this. Dollar, curly braces, and this is that JSP expression. I'll show you the syntax in a minute to be evaluated. So where are you going to add this EL syntax? Are you going to add this EL syntax in what? What is it called? In scriptlet, in JSP expression, or directly in the body tag? Answer. Directly in the body tag. There's the answer there. So don't think, guys, understand me perfectly. JSP scriptlet means pure Java code, plain old Java code, like we used to write in the servlet, do star methods. JSP expression means just an expression which evaluates your result. So naturally, when you are learning EL syntax, you will add it directly in the body tag. Okay, but what is it ultimately? It is an expression. So as before, your EL syntax will evaluate the expression. It will convert the result into string and send it to client browser. Okay, so this is all fine. You keep this right up in front of you. I'll explain it through the verticals. Oh. So that's why I've got that summary diagram and all that. So just recently, we were talking about JSP implicit objects. The moment I say JSP implicit objects, always there are 8 of them. Just remember some of them. I mean, request, response, session, out, etc. But the point to understand is who all can access these JSP implicit objects? Scriptlets and expressions. Can EL syntax access it? Absolutely not. Then what can you access from EL syntax? Answer is there is another long list. By the way, this is not a complete list. This is a complete list. This is just some of them, important this. So listen to this carefully. Keep it light, simple, and clear because we are not going to waste too much time in JSP. JSP expressions, JSP implicit objects, this is the list, are accessible from scriptlet and expressions. Likewise, I'm going to explain a list of important EL implicit objects. Obviously, who all can they, how can you access them from? What will you access them from? Scriptlets, expressions, declarations, or EL syntax? Already answer is there. Answer is only EL syntax. And what is that so-called EL syntax? Dollar curly braces. And what goes inside is the EL implicit. Anubhav, mute yourself, please. So that is it. I mean, keep it separate because, a little later you get confused. There is only one common object. There's only one implicit object which is common, which can be accessible from scriptlet, expression, and EL syntax. And that is your super important page context. Otherwise, they are totally different. So answer me. This long list, long, short, whatever you say, this list of objects, EL implicit objects, keep it with you, can only be accessed with dollar and curly braces syntax. Okay, so that is the main thing. Now, if you take a look at all other objects than page context, what are they? I told you very long back in core Java, 90% of J2E data structures are woven around the maps. Okay, so these are all the maps. The other these things, what is it called? Other implicit objects other than page context. Page context also has an internal map, but I'm not going there. It's got a page context attribute map. But leave it aside. But let us look at it one by one. So here, let me say this properly. When you say param, tell me, this param keyword, you can access it from, same question irritatingly I'm asking you, scriptlet, expression, or EL syntax. Is that clear with all of you? All these are EL accessible. Now, when I say dollar and curly braces param, or if I just say param, what does it mean? This is a map. But who is going to create this map, guys? Obvious question. PRWC, programmer or web container? Web container created map. Absolutely right. So this is the name of the map. You can add a word if you want. Created by web container. This is all common. And what is it going to contain? It is going to contain the request parameters. So tell me, when you when I see this, who is going to send the request parameters to whom? Who will send the request parameter to whom? Simple question, simple answer. Client to server, absolutely. Okay, and how you used to read it earlier? We had to write a Java code in a scriptlet or an expression, request dot get parameter and the name. Here you will see the shortcut in a minute. Once you have one thing clear, the other things fall in place. So why don't we try something with param? Okay, open the code. This is the way we are going to spend the first day of JSP. So let me just say this. I don't want to waste too much of your time. open display.jsp. Have I got that? Version 1, version 2 here itself. Yeah. Open display.jsp. And before the link, add a horizontal rule and give a title, email. Okay, I'll say this. What is it? User details. I was just thinking, which user details? Email and password. I have shown you once with the scriptlet, once with the expression. Now I'm showing you with the EL syntax via EL syntax. Okay, so add this, and here initially I'll not show you the. Let's go do step by step, and it's so easy and so fast. So here, let me add a something H586 something, and I just want to print what is there in that param, and in a minute you will get a feel of it. So dollar curly braces. This is your EL syntax. Don't add any white spaces, neither leading nor trailing. So I'm closing it. Otherwise, you definitely, it kills you. Extra white spaces definitely kill you. So here, simply say param. If there is a red cross, ignore it. It will go away. As long as it is producing the output, ignore red crosses. It will go away. Done this much? I just asked you to add a line, dollar param. Added. So I want to ask you, what do you think will be the output? Guess the output. Don't run it. Just tell me what will be the output on this. Output on the, I mean, the whole expression is evaluated, EL syntax is evaluated, and the result is sent to the browser. Yeah, but yes, of course, email and password. But in which form? In which form? In the map form. You remember maps to string, how it looks? Within the curly braces, K1 equal to V1, K2 V2, like that you are going to see. So why don't you test it? Why don't you confirm rather? So you can say just back, say refresh. I think testing scriptlets. Okay. And you can confirm this, come down all the way, and it is an unsorted, unordered your hash map, hashing based algorithm. So don't expect any sorting, don't expect any order. It is unordered, unsorted map. And can you see this? Are you getting your request parameters just with one keyword, param? So what is the significance of, okay, first of all, tell me, working or not working? It is working, has to work. So what is param? Param is equal to, I mean, the significance. It's the first statement is, it is a EL implicit object, and it represents a container created map holding request parameters. You got me? Now, but I don't want to show the entire map. That was just done to your, for your understanding. So I just want to now extract it separately. So continue writing. So here, now I want to find out this thing. You can see that error went off. So here I'll say, I want to print the email. I just want to access the email. So what was the Java code we used to write? Request.get parameter. Now hold on, pause. So here it is param is the name of the map. So go back to core Java and tell me which is the map API where in goes the key and out comes the value to retrieve the value. What is the name of the method? Which is the maps method? Map API get. So the good news is, guys, you don't have to call any get method here. When you are using any JSPL syntax, this is your JSPL syntax. Later, I'll show you Spring expression language syntax in Spring. So this is your JSPL. Dot represents a getter. EL syntax, the dot is all about the getters. So in simple words, see what the shortcut is. So here, what is the name of the map? Param. And dot internally we'll call param dot get, and which is the key? EM. No semicolons, sorry, no quotes, nothing. So this gets you the email. And once you do this, next is the copy paste. Password param dot pass. So the whole idea is, see, earlier we had to write so much of Java code. Now, once you start learning more and more JSP, this is just the first few hours in JSP, your what do you say, whole syntax reduces. And just save it, and you can go to your client browser. You don't even have to submit the form again. You can simply say refresh, and you can see that user details via EL syntax. This was your entire request parameter map, and I'm getting the email ID and the password correctly. Are you also getting it correctly? No issues, no problem. Working fine. So the point, the bottom line is, the param is the EL implicit object, which is nothing but a map of request parameters. And here, when you, okay, sorry, when you say dot, it is internally calling a getter. It is retrieval. EL syntax is all about getters. Dot represents getter. And here, then this is taken as a property name, or in our case, the key, the name of the key. And it is evaluating to param.get or request parameter.get email and a password. So this was your first example. I've written loads of examples here. So you can definitely go through that. Some of them I'll take, will require, some of them you won't even require. Okay, so now you have got 4 additional maps. So before I start explaining, which are the, now we are in JSPs, now we are not in servlet. So which are the 4 scopes which we have from the narrowest to widest? Please don't give arbitrary answers. Always go from us in the ascending order. Page, request, session, and application. PRSE, short form. So now there are, okay, what are we looking at? These are the names of the maps. So guys, early in core Java, we used to say hash map, let's say integer comma student, something, students is equal to new hash map. So what was that students? It was the reference variable. It was our maps name. So in advanced Java, are we creating the maps, or is container creating it for us? Web container creating it for us. So name of the map, of course, created by the container. And when you say page scope, it's not a page scope. It is a name of the map containing page scope attributes. Next one, when you say request scope, now I think you'll get the drift. Containing request scope attributes. Generally, a beginner gets confused. I hope you are not that kind. Request parameters string comma string coming from the client. Request scope attributes, you create request.set attribute, and for retrieval, you don't have to write here request.get attribute. You can directly use the map name. Likewise, we have map of session scope attributes. So, okay, let me ask you, how many copies of these maps would be there in your web application? How many these session scope maps would be there? 1 per entire web application, 1 per request, or 1 per client? Of course, 1 per client. The moment you hear session, you don't have to think twice. It is, but understand me, guys. It's a typical confusion for a beginner. Session is different. Session scope is different. I'll show you the diagram which I have shared, I think on Saturday. I am not sure. Something like HTTP session internals. I'll talk about it in a minute. And the widest map, or the other map is application scope. Name of the map created by the web container containing what? Context scope attributes. So how many application scope map would be there? Everyone should know the answer. Exactly 1 per entire web application. Got me? So now take a small pause. I hope I've shared it. Otherwise, I'll share. I'll need to dig up some other training. Just a second. Java eHelp. Wait a sec. Day 6 data, right? Day 6 help diagrams. Yeah. So please open day 6 data, day 6 help diagrams, which is already shared on the weekend, and open HTTP session internals. Let me ask you, Just my lucky chance, lucky guess. Has anyone gone through this diagram at all? Honestly, honest answer is appreciated. If you have not gone through it, tell me you have not gone through it. No problem. Nobody has gone through it. Okay, so then it will require. So what we'll do is we'll definitely do this, but in the lab session. I don't want to invest theory session in that. So before I join, I join late so that you get some breathing time. So here I have written some code in servlet. Actually, the same code you can write in the JSP, of course. Concept is going to be the same. So this was for that, bookshop thing. Anyway, doesn't matter. Request.get session, session.set attribute, session.get attribute, session.invalidate, etc. So you'll say suddenly why you are switching context like this and confusing us. Not confusing. When I explain it completely, actually most of it I have explained, but only thing is it is like it's a very good diagram, not very well drawn I'm saying, but very good content wise diagram which tells you a lot. So let me ask you, let's see whether you understand anything at all. Suppose client has logged in and in servlet we had to say request.get session. In JSP session gets automatically created. So anyone can identify what is this which I have written here? Where my cursor is, tell me quickly. It is nothing but J session ID. And follow me closely. I should have changed the colors. I did not have time at that in that training. Anyway, what is this outermost box? Can you see this? I've given the labels, indentation. HTTP session object for the client one called as HS1. I'm referring to the outer rectangle. Are you with me? So the outermost rectangle is HTTP session for client one. The moment I say I've got another client, logged in, what will container create for her? Will it share the earlier session object or will it create a new one? Same or new? Of course, new. So you got another alphanumeric, your this thing, J session ID and another HTTP session object. Understood me so far? Okay. We are going to do definitely. If I forget, please, one of you take up a responsibility and remind me that you are going to explain this diagram totally in case you need it. If you understand it your own, why should I waste time? Now go inside HTTP session. Go inside this rectangle, outer rectangle. If you remember HTTP session, you remember there's a method get ID. So if you see HTTP session object, what all details are kept there? Session ID. When was session created? There is a method get creation time that tells you the creation time when it was created. Last access time, get last access or get last access time or something, some method. So that will give you that. You remember there is a method get max inactive interval. What is that value? Default value 30 minutes. So, and dots. I mean, when I say dots, many more. But in addition to that, so who is storing all of this? HTTP session. Okay, so when you say session, I mean this. But now, guys, listen to the question. I'm already solving this diagram halfway or more than halfway. When I say session.set attribute, user details, and imagine that customer is a customer POJO reference. So tell me, what is the scope of this attribute? PRSA, page request. Okay, there was no page earlier. Request session or application. RSA. Of course, session. So now hear me double carefully. Now come to this inner box, inner what rectangle. And this is the map of session scope attributes. So guys, HTTP session holds all these details plus what it holds? Map of session scope attributes. And what is an attribute, guys? Key and a value pair. So this is your key is nothing but the attribute name, user details, and a value is nothing but a customer POJO reference. So here I have taken some name. One was, I guess, Rama, and one was Mira. So whatever. So one is pointing to the Rama's details, one is pointing to the Mira's details, etc. So you can look at all this. So I'm asking you the question now. So come back to JSP. And when I talk about JSP implicit object session, oh sorry, before I come to JSP, just one line. When I discuss this diagram, if you want, I can discuss this diagram completely. This is a picture of a web containers heap, server side heap. And you will see this is a map within a map, a collection within a collection structure, which holds all these session objects. Have I written it somewhere? No, I have not written. Anyway, that can be written. So coming back to the point, now the real question. When I talk in JSP, session as an implicit object, what is it I'm referring to? I'm giving you options. Am I referring to this outermost map? Option 1, map created by the web container at web application deployment time to store HTTP session objects. Option 1, session when I say, okay. Option 2, this inner rectangle, second rectangle. Option 3, third rectangle, innermost. What is it I'm referring to? First, second, or third option? Looking at answers, at least give me when I say this. Correct answer is second option. I said HTTP session, guys. Why are you giving me third option? So the correct answer is second one, this one. I've labeled it also, HS1. But now, when I say session scope, don't get confused. I use diagrams all the time to explain such things. When I say session scope, what is the option you will pick up? What is it I'm referring to? Tell me. The first option, outermost map. Second option, third option. Yes, please. Now answer is correct. Map of session scope attributes. So guys, when you shift from servlet to JSP, I don't have to bother. I don't have to say, I have to still say session.set attribute. You'll see that. But I don't have to say session.get attribute. I'll simply use the name of the map and get the job done. So example makes it clearer. See this. Read this carefully. If you write this in a EL syntax, what is it? So solve it from left to right. What is session scope? Is it a map or is it not a map? Yes or no? It is a map. Map of what? Is it a map of parameters or is it a map of attributes? P or A attributes. Is it a page scope attributes, request scope attributes, session scope, or application scope? Session scope. So what is the equivalent Java code you can think of? You know the name, what is it? Maps method is get. Session scope dot get. In goes the key attribute name. Attribute value could be user Pojo reference or your, what was that? Customer Pojo reference, anything. Its toString will be called and the result is sent to the client. Or if you want to relate it to your earlier learned API, how we were getting that? We were getting it via session.get attribute. So please draw the parallel things. Dollar curly braces session scope.user details is 100% equivalent to session.get attribute. So we are referring to that inner map. In goes the attribute name, out comes the value. Understood something at all? Because we're going to write the example. That is why, you know, I never got time because already Saturday we are exhausted. I mean, learning about concepts, but it is a really very good diagram which tells you a lot about session tracking. So my suggestion is, my request to all of you is go through that diagram. I've written the code as always and the corresponding memory picture and the understanding and all that. So definitely go through it. And then we will I hope to spend at least 10 minutes on it with your inputs, with your involvement. Okay, so now come back to code and let's try this out. So I'm giving you the requirement. Here is the requirement. First is close everything. And here let's do something. Open the index page, please. I'm telling you what we want and then writing it takes literally 2 minutes in JSP. So follow the testing scriptlets. Okay, what I'll do is here I'll say test. Anyway, I'll not change the link here. Testing scriptlets. Next request will go to login form. Open the login JSP. No change here. Okay, so keep it as it is. The form will get submitted to display.jsp. Understood the flow? There's hardly anything in the flow. So display.jsp. Fine. Actually, what we will do is now we will change it because I don't want to do this. Let's do the changes. I don't want to touch our earlier understanding. I was thinking of continuing, but I changed my mind. So here, just do this. Add a link. Testing EL syntax. Okay. Add a new link. I slightly changed my because I thought that maybe earlier code will get affected and all that. That's why I said that. So testing EL syntax. Let's make it to login2.jsp. Do it systematically. All I'm going to ask you to copy the login form to login2.jsp. So when the client clicks on it, the next request will be sent to login form. And what we are going to do is we are going to write a method accept.jsp, which will read those request parameters. But now I want to remember the client will maybe log out. So we will put it under the session scope, which is what you did in the last week. And we'll just see whether we can work in the what your client will. Okay, that's the whole idea is the same. Just showing you the EL syntax or other JSP syntax. So next instruction, copy login.jsp into login2.jsp. Otherwise, you'll get 404. Now open what? Open login2.jsp, and here this is where I wanted to make a change, and then I thought maybe I'll make a different copy. Let's say accept.jsp. Tell me, reached here so far? We have not done anything complicated. Reached here? So which is the next page we are going to write is accept.jsp. Got me? So way back, new JSP, accept.jsp. Reach here. I'll tell you what we are going to do is I've already started a scriptlet. Here, I'll give you in English. You just translate it into Java code. So get request parameters. What is it? Email password. We are working very simply today. Get request parameters and save it as session or save it under. I'll see. Save it. So I'll create a session scope attribute, user details, and save it under. It means user details that we will encapsulate. We will concatenate email and password into one and save it under the session scope. So if you say why session scope, because I'm going to show you the redirect scenario, client pull 2. Everything you know more than well in servlet. Today is the time of revision and learning the JSP syntax. So I'll wait here for a minute. Translate my comment. Are you understanding why I've used the Java style comment? It is a plain old Java code which you are writing in a scriptlet. So I'll give you a minute. I want the session scope attribute name as user details, and I want to have the concatenated email and password in it. Do it. Waiting for a minute. If you are not understood what is to be done, talk to me. But if you are understood, try it out. I've already given you the clue by starting a scriptlet. A typical confusion across the beginners is, so I'll ask you a question. Can you solve this highlighted comment using EL syntax? It's a yes or no. I'm saying this again. Can you solve this particular using EL syntax? 100% not. EL is all for getters. Here we are saving. Here we have to call some business logic. By tomorrow, you would have learned JSTL and all, and then it becomes easy without a scriptlet, but not till then. So anyway, continue. Guys, I don't want to waste time really. It's good old code, which we have been writing since first day of servlet. Okay, so reading the request parameter done. Why I'm saying session scope? Because I told you we are going to have that client pool too. We are going to call send redirect in a minute. Okay, you can say Control Shift F for formatting. So now, how do you add? Here, adding attributes EL will never help you. So you'll have to call session.set attribute, which you know so well. Name I have already suggested. Something, I mean, there's nothing special about the name, you know that. You can keep anything. And here, just give me the concatenated thing. Later, we will actually hit the database, fetch the results, everything we'll do. But that we will do in a case study. So email and maybe a space or colon or whatever you any separator, for example. Understood me so far? This is what I had meant. Cannot be done through the EL syntax because EL is all about getters, retrievals. The code is the same. Only thing is I'm writing it in the scriptlet. Yes or no, respond. Understood or not understood? All of you are not typing along. So those who are not typing along should respond. Those who are typing are busy typing, so I'm not talking to them really. Okay. So now I want to redirect the client to details page in the same request or in the next request. I hope everyone has it ingrained in your brains. When I say redirect, of course, in the next request. So how do you know this is a next request? Keep watching the URLs, watch the network traffic, anything and everything. So which is the method? What was the method we were using? Send redirect of HTTP servlet response. Can I access response object directly? Yes, it is the JSP implicit object response.send redirect. And here, what is the next page? Earlier in the servlet days last week, we were redirecting the client from one servlet to another servlet, S1 to S2. What was that? Authentication to topics, right? Here, from what is it we are writing? Accept.jsp, one JSP to another JSP. So let's say details.jsp. Oh, I have got that details already done. So I'll say something else. No, I don't have details. Okay, fine. Details.jsp. Okay. And it always helps you to, work with understanding. So I'm saying from, what is that page? From accept page. From accept.jsp, I want to print the session ID. So, I'm just giving you a lot of practice of JSP syntax today, nothing else. Session.getID. So I have a question. Will you see this appearing on the client browser? Yogesh answered me, but I want more answers, not just him answering. So many of you are logged in. Will you see this? 100% not. Why? Because the moment you said yes, come on, that means you're not revised. 100% you will not see this because the moment you say send redirect, guys, it is the same old thing. Just take the cursor here. It tells you, it sends the temporary redirect response to the client. And what it does is, earlier we were saying that it discards the print writer buffer. Whose buffer it will discard today? Print writers or somebody else's buffer? We are in JSP. So whose buffer? JSP writers buffer. Out is just a variable name. I mean, configure this. So of course, out.clear, or you can say JSP writers buffer, and you will confirm all these things in couple of minutes. So now, which is the next page we are going to write? This page cannot produce any content. It is all cleared buffer. Now, so which is the next page we have to write is details.jsp. Have I written details by any mistake? No, display is written. Fine. So right click, new JSP details. So now the client browser is going to send a next request to reach this details page. Now I just want you to display the details. So I'll give you the requirement, user details from session scope, or I'll say retrieved. Okay. So I have a question here. Don't give me the answer. Let me give a chance to ask question. So if I want to retrieve the user details from the session scope, when I say session scope, what is it we are referring to? I'm telling you this diagram is really important. The innermost map. Okay, so that is what I'm referring to. So please tell me, can I do it using a scriptlet? Answer is yes. Guys, with scriptlet, anything and everything is possible. It's a pure old, plain old Java code. So what will be the scriptlet you can write? Opening tag percent, session.get attribute, user details, over. Next question. Can I do it? But that means writing Java code. So can I do it with a JSP expression percent equal to? It's a Boolean question, yes or no? Answer is yes. What will be the syntax? Opening tag percent equal to session.get attribute, user details. Still some Java code. Are you getting me? In scriptlet, you have to say out.write, out.print, but with JSP expression, you don't. But is there any further shortcut? Is there any further enhancement possible? Answer is yes. No is wrong answer. Yes is the correct answer. You are wrong, Yogesh. Tell me the name of the map in which session scope attributes are stored. Is it param? Of course not. It is dollar session scope. I mean dollar. So start with me. This is absolutely sorry. This is absolutely fine, guys. You are looking at it for the first time. So do systematically and you will not make a mistake. The name of the map in which session scope attributes are stored is, the name of the map itself is session scope. But do I want to print all the attributes or a particular one? The particular one. So when you say dot, it is going to call a getter. In short, session.get attribute you can think of. And as always, I suggest don't waste your time in what? Spelling mistakes like ever. And that's it. And if I say here, all these concepts, 100 times I've talked about it. All I'm taking a chance to revise them, but with a JSP syntax. So from the, which page it is? Details.jsp. You can actually say from page also. Shall we do that? Okay, let's do that. More the merrier. So percent, I don't know whether you'll understand or not. Let's just check. I want to say from which page? The session ID. If you say, no, this is becoming too much for my, this thing, brains taxing me and all that, you can remove that and you can hard code. This is anyway going to tell you that fully qualified name and session ID. So now answer. What do you expect to see? Same session ID or different session ID? Same session ID for the same client. And this is where you will get to see the, so what it will call internally, session.get attribute, or you can say session scope.get. In goes the attribute name, out comes that value with email password, and that will be sent to the client. Confirm. Just showing you various things with what? With your EL syntax. Nothing to be reloaded and all that. Just go back. refresh the index page. Even when you send multiple requests from the same client, session ID remains the same. Same HTTP session object created automatically by the container for your JSP. Give some, whatever I mean, some credentials. And here, observe, remember the first two digits. I'm remembering my first two digits, 14. And as we guessed correctly, the accept.jsp wasn't shown because the contents are all discarded. And from where I'm seeing it, from details page, is the same session ID. At least I remembered my first two digits, 14. And here are the user details retrieved from the session scope. We're going to make use of all of this in our today's assignment. So learn part by part. Getting the results. So this is what I meant by the, what is it called? Names of those maps, EL implicit objects, param, different scopes. I'll wait here, confirm quickly. Working fine? Always, you see, okay, let me say this. Trying out things in a servlet was difficult. I agree. Because so much of Java code I was asking you to write. Here, be brave. I mean, be brave in the sense, be bold. Be, curious and try out things. So go to accept.jsp. I said accept.jsp. And I hope you know what I'm going to do already. Oh, I already have a script. Sorry. So here simply say out.flush. Same things I had discussed in the servlet couple of days ago. Similar things I'm asking you to try out here. Okay, try this out. Go to the client-side browser, back, refresh, testing EL syntax, and tell me, what did you get on the client-side browser? Did you get some output, some contents from accept page? I mean, session ID? And of course, you will continue to get the same because where I said logout and all. And take a look at your, what is it called? Web server console. Everyone remembers this illegal state exception. And just telling you so clearly, you cannot call send redirect after the response has been committed. Making sense? Remembering all the statements? I mean, getting the same output, it is so what do you say, good, so such a happy scenario to understand things and do it in a proper manner. So of course we are going to comment this out. You can later uncomment it and check this. But you tell me honestly, which seems easier? Okay, JSP syntax first day sounds a little cryptic, but the point is testing and understanding things where it is easier, in the servlet scenario or in the JSP scenario. 100% JSP scenario. Okay, so that way you keep looking. I mean, that way you keep. Today, the whole day you are going to spend, I mean, when I say day, I mean lab session, in learning the JSP syntax and revising all the things which we did in your servlets. So server pull, client pull, all the things I'll get revised. So this is done. Yeah, so this was a little bit about your EL syntax. And more, I've given really lot of examples. Oh, one more thing I have to take it. This is also very interesting. And then we'll go to the next one. So just make a change here. I'm showing you further shortcuts in the EL syntax. So please go to details.jsp and remove this name of the map and simply keep user underscore details. Giving very slow instructions. Done that? So remove the name of the map, session scope and only keep user details. Go back to the client browser and test it and tell me, is it working or is it not working? Are you able to remember the client or retrieve those details from the across multiple requests in the session scope? 100% it will work. So what is happening? Web container is getting smarter and smarter, or our code to write more and more code is reducing. So that is where the whole explanation is. Here my suggestion, definitely go through this README JSP. I've given so many examples. All of this is a pure exam objective. I mean, whatever the interview objective. In interview also, I don't think people will ask you much on JSPs, but yes, exam, anything people can ask. So listen to the statement. When you don't add any parameter, I'm so sorry, in any map name, web container treats it as an attribute name. So here I have taken an example of ABC. Here the example is, what is the example here? User details. So now, will web containers, is web container a magician to know that directly search under the session scope, or will it have to search gradually? Directly searches in session scope, or it has to start gradually? Of course, it has to start gradually. So will it go from broadest to narrowest or narrowest to broadest? I mean, narrowest to widest or widest to narrowest? N to W. So which is the minimum scope? I'm so sorry. Which is the narrowest scope in our JSP? Page, request, session or application, PRSA, page. So it will call internally. What is the name of the map for that? Page scope dot get user details. If you want to think in a Java code, I mean, clearer way, you can also think of it as page context dot get attribute, and in goes the attribute name. So tell me, what will it return? Have we stored this attribute under the page scope? No. So what will it return? Null or not null? Simple question, simple answer. Of course, null. Will container give up or will it search in the wider scope? Of course, it searches in wider. So which is the next scope it will try? Request. So either you can think of it as request scope dot get, that's a map dot get, or our good old Java, request dot get attribute. In goes the attribute name, out comes null, because it is not in the request scope. So the third scope it will try. Which is the third scope it is going to try? Naturally session. So then it can say, again I'm talking in two types. Either you can understand as session scope dot get user details, or how you would have written it in a servlet, session dot get attribute user details. Both mean the same. It is talking to the same map. So what it will return now, tell me, null or not null? Not null. So will container unnecessary go to the next search? Application scope, of course not, it is not dumb. So now it will get those details, convert it to the string and send it to the browser. But question, okay, sorry, before I ask you a question, you understood how it is working? It is doing the searching on its own. First in page, then in request, and then in session. Got it so far? Okay, so now the last question. Which one will be faster? You calling it like this or you calling it earlier way? Which one will be faster? Option 1, option 2. Of course, this one. I mean, say, the moment you say session scope, how many how many searches your container has to do? Exactly one search. Search into session, story over. But if you say only dot user details, how many searches it had to invest earlier? 3. Third search, on the third search it got the result, right? So that way, as much as possible, we want to generate faster responses. So typically we will add the name. But if you see some code, some JSP code, and what will happen, you keep that point in your mind. So this was a little bit about JSP's EL syntax. Written lot of things. So actually, this is also very good, I mean, please do spend a lot of time. And what I'm suggesting is, I've given so many examples in README. Just copy in one of the JSPs and try it out. This will start telling you more and more power of your EL syntax. So start. Okay, let me ask you. You can add it anytime. So first of all, everyone understands that it is a EL syntax, dollar and curly braces. Okay. Now, what is page context? I'll rephrase it. From where you can access page context? Your choices are scriptlets, expression, EL syntax, all of above, none of above. Answer is all of above. You forgot, somebody saying EL only. A page context is a JSP implicit object also. 100% you can access it. Try it out. When I say try it out, here, later I mean, whenever you have this scriptlet, you can say page context dot set attribute, page context dot get session, whatever, it is accessible. Okay, so that is what I meant. Now, when you say EL syntax, what does this dot expand to? A getter. So I have already got the answer, rather given you the answer. So here, when you supply this much, when this much of a EL syntax is processed, what does it expand to? Page context. It will simply add a getter. If you remember, guys, from the day one of core Java, I have been telling you, use the proper norms. Don't use any method name. It wasn't hurting you in core Java, but it will definitely hurt you if you use the wrong naming conventions. Okay, so it has to be get is the prefix and camel casing and all that. So anyway, coming back to the point, listen to the question. When I say page context dot get session, what does it return? Your choices are, I'm just making you comfortable with my horribly drawn diagram. Option 1, outer map. Option 2, this rectangle. Option 3, innermost. So page context dot get session will return you what? Option 1, option 2, option 3. Pick up option 2. It is not giving you the session scope attribute map. Okay, so it is just returning you the session, HTTP session object. I told you, page context is very important to a JSP developer. It is a holder of all implicit objects. So I have got, when I execute this, have I got HTTP session or have I got the map of session scope attributes? Same question I'm asking you. Map or HS? HS for HTTP session, map for a map. Of course, HTTP session. And do you remember seeing on the HTTP session interface, there is a method get ID. So it will return you the value of a JSession ID cookie without writing any Java code. I don't have to say in the percent whatever equal to session.getId. The whole job is done with a EL syntax. And you can see so many examples. You can read, go through that. So got some feel of EL syntax. And like I said, it is not like, yeah, I mean, if I just say and you understand, you have to put in some efforts, and that is why you have got assignments and revisions and all that. So we'll get it done in the lab session properly. Now, okay, let me open that overview. So what we have covered is the scripting elements, scriptlets, expressions, and recently I showed you EL syntax as an alternative to JSP expression. Now let us look at the last one, declaration. And then we can go to the next part. So read me JSP. Read this and I'll explain. Okay, start reading with me. The last scripting element which we are discussing is a JSP declaration. Even when I take you to Spring Boot and Spring MVC web application, I'm not talking about a full stack. I'm talking about monolithic web application, which is the view layer technology we are going to use is a JSP. I might show you, I mean, not might, I will show you a time leap demo, another view layer technology, but mainly it is all JSP. So in those days, are we really going to use any of the scripting elements? Answer is no. So which are the two important things or syntaxes you should really understand is, one is EL syntax, which we will use a lot, and something tomorrow I'll show you JSTL, and then the concept of a beans and all. So, focus accordingly. So this is just today's exam objective. Start. When you say a JSP declaration, what does it represent? It represents the block. It's not a block exactly. We say it is a block, but it is just a syntax where you can add private members. In short, whenever you add anything in the JSP declaration block, you may not say it is private. You don't have to label it private. It is private to your page. In yet another way, whatever you write here, suppose I write it in 1.jsp in a JSP declaration block, will it be accessible to any other page? Absolutely not. That's a first line. Look at the syntax. Opening tag percentage, exclamation mark, and this is where you write the JSP declaration block. But typically, we don't add it within the body tag. And you will see that whenever I show you the translated page in 2 minutes, I mean, in whatever minutes, you will see that whatever you write in the JSP declaration block, will it be copied? Will it be added in the JSP service? Answer is no. It will be kept outside of JSP service. It will appear directly at a class level. All of it will be clear in next whatever time. So, use case. Till I show you JavaBeans, which is maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Let's see. So, JSP using JavaBeans and the advanced part of JSP, you might require all of this. So, for what? So, if you want to create some variables, I'm not talking about attributes. Attributes are objects. I might just have a private int counter. I want to mint a visit counter, that much. So if I want to create some Java variables, static members, non-static members, methods and all that, where to add all of this? Answer is in the declaration block. So one use case is to declare your data members, static, non-static, methods, all of that. And the other use cases, I told you, there are 3 lifecycle methods of a JSP. Out of 3, which one we never override? Which is the method we don't override? We just take it from the container. Which is the method we hardly means no, never ever override underscore JSP service. But can other 2 methods be overridden? Answer is yes. So if you want to do some one-time jobs, you can override JSP in it right in the beginning. And you can override JSP destroy also. So this is what we are going to discuss or try in a minute. So open the code, STS, close everything, and go to index page and add a link. Here, S2 something. Testing JSP declarations. I'll wait. I've done nothing. I've just added a link. Once again, I'm saying treat whole of today as purely exam objective. Not even a single letter you are going to use it in your projects, provided you decide to take a full stack project. Okay, so done. So which is the next page I have to, the request will be sent to which page after user clicks on this is test2.jsp. So let's create that. web app, new JSP, s2.jsp. Reached here. Now I want to show you the use case and the syntax and everything about JSP declaration. So where should I add a JSP declaration block? Within the body tag or outside? Everyone knows typical syntax is outside. So after head and body, you can open percent exclamation mark. I'm going to show you from the translated page after we run it and give the label as in comment. What you are looking at is a declaration block. Okay. So what all you can add? I told you already, data members, methods, anything. So do I have to label it as private? Absolutely not. It is implicitly private. Try accessing it from some other page and you will know what I'm saying. So let's say int, I'm starting a counter. So maybe you can start it with her, or you can say int counter. Just showing you. You can add, by the way, static members also. Just to show you things. So you can definitely add data members, static as well as non-static. You can add a non-static, static member also. You can make it any of it as static, no problem. But typically we don't use too much of static, non-static. Can you use the same declaration block? Can you override? JSP? Oh, look at this. I was wondering why I'm not getting the comment. This is my mistake. This is where it is ending. So I better be writing it here. Can you override JSP life cycle methods from this? From this as in from here, from JSP declaration block. You know the answer. Yes. But JSP doesn't support any annotations. Guys, the whole idea behind JSP is, you tell me, writing business logic or writing presentation logic? BL or PL? Presentation logic. Business logic, somebody is saying, guys, wake up. For business logic, you have got another component coming up whose name is JavaBeans. So we'll have a nice clear-cut separation in a separate component, Java component that will be. So here, it doesn't support the annotations and all. So directly start writing public void. Don't make spelling mistakes. JSP init. And you can add some SOPs and all that. And you'll be surprised. If you say sysout, doesn't give you that. So the point is, because JSP editor, I'm writing it using JSP editor. If they want to resist, they want you to stop, they want you to discourage writing too much of Java content from inside. So you'll not even get the shortcuts through JSP editor. So in short, little bit of struggle. Struggle means efforts. Println, I'm just saying in JSP init. Okay. And here, you know, the default value of any static as well as non-static member, non-static instance variable is initialized to default. So here you can say, you can start. Suppose already there are visits, counter visits, anything you would have said. So some value. Just showing you the stuff, guys. Compared to what we have been doing recently, this is nothing. So showing you that they will be implicitly private. You'll confirm it in a minute. And can you use it to override the lifecycle methods? 100% yes. Can you add? The whole idea is helping you in exam. Can you add your own methods? Answer is yes again. So here I'm saying increment it or something. So I'm returning the integer value. Increment something. And here you can do it in 1 line, 2 lines. I don't really care. So pretty easy stuff. I'll give you this declaration block in case you don't want to type it. I'll send you the whole file in a minute. Now, can you also override your JSP destroy method, which will get called automatically by the container? Yes, again. So before I say that, let me ask you a simple question. Let me ask you. Will you have to call this JSP init method yourself as a programmer, or will it get called automatically? PRWC. Who will call this? Will you have to call it, or will container call it? 100% container. Now, answer this question. The moment you add this method in the JSP declaration block, such as increment me or visits or whatever, will this method get called automatically, or will you have to call it explicitly? You will have to programmer. Absolutely correct. Because guys, this is not a lifecycle method at all. Containers contract or promises only invoke the lifecycle APIs, JSP init, JSP destroy, and JSP service. So you will have to call it. So now the next question. Can you tell me? Okay, so I'm coming into the body tag. We will override JSP destroy also in a minute. So can you tell me? I'm just not writing it. How to call this increment method from inside this body or this whatever body tag? You can definitely use it in the. You can't use it in EL syntax. EL syntax becomes messy here, but JSP expression tag helps you. So here, see this. What I'm doing is, I'll say the visits. Let's have some formatting. So here I'm saying how many times this page has been visited, number of visits. And here, percent equal to, this is your good old JSP expression. I'm not talking in EL syntax. And then you can have, which is the method I want to call it as increment. And we will refresh it. You can give a link. I'm not giving a link here. I'm just going to refresh it. So will it be legal, or error or no error? Of course, no error. Is this your void returning method or not? It is not a void returning method. So of course, actually I don't have to return the, I have to. I was thinking it is a non-void returning. So I can definitely access it and see this. Showing you very, very basic things. Now, can I also override JSP destroy? Yes, again. Can I do it in the same declaration block? Very much yes. But to give you the flow, can I open another declaration block? Answer is yes. So showing you the syntax. So let that body tag get over, and let's open the another JSP declaration block to you, so that you will see you can open multiple scriptlets, multiple declaration block, etc. And here, which is the method we are going to override? You know this. So in JSP destroy. Okay, so give the SOPs accordingly. You don't have to do about any value of counter. The whole idea is we are not opening any database connections and all that. That will happen all tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll see. I don't see us reaching there today, but basic things. Oh, look at my spelling mistake. There's no at override to help us. You help me. Public void JSP destroy. Otherwise, this method will never get called in case I make a spelling mistake. Yeah, yes, Kunal, I got it. So let me send you this. What is that method name? Sorry, page name is test2. So I sent you this. This is a good example where you have JSP declaration block, where you have JSP expression, JSP scriptlets I'm not writing here, and other things also. And little later, we'll just look at the translated page after you have run it once. So now go over to your client-side browser, and you can see back or something. Yeah, just go to the welcome page, and here you can see this. Are you understanding what is happening? So visit counter has, you remember counter plus plus I've done and started with 100. So something. And please observe on the server side console, Has it started the JSP life cycle, such as translation phase, compilation phase, followed by JSP? Are you seeing this? Okay. So now go to the client side. This is very similar to what we did on other day. I mean servlet day, first day. And tell me, when you send more and more visits, I am so sorry, more and more requests, I meant, which of the methods will get, which will get called? JSP init underscore JSP service or JSP destroy? The underscore JSP service. And in that I have displayed or have called that increment counter method. And as you can see, none of the methods, the only lifecycle method gets called is the underscore JSP service, and that is where we have incremented the counter. So you can see the visit count is visits incrementing. And what is the trigger for the container to call the destroy? Easiest trigger. Stop the server. Are you getting all this? Visit counter, is it incrementing or not? Did not get any response. It is. Okay, so what is our easiest trigger is shut down the server, stop the server. So go to the server console, I mean server tab, stop that and just check, is it calling in JSP destroy? I told you, this error is going to trouble you till we go to Spring Boot internal Tomcat container. It's not your problem at all. You can see it is some class loader issue of your Tomcat. Ignore that. But you should be able to see the JSP destroy correctly. Working as expected. You understood the syntax of JSP declaration block. So before giving you that 10-minute break, open the folder. So open that where you have, so you can see so many translated and all these are there. So test2 was thing, I guess. Yeah. So the latest one we wrote is test2 DSP. So you'll see somewhere test2 underscore JSP. And here, take a minute to see that. Are you remembering where we had written all this? In the JSP declaration block. So is it copy pasted? Is it added under JSP service or is it kept at the class level outside? You open it and you tell me. Of course, it is kept outside the JSP service. So this is your counter and all. We are going to try accessing it from some other page and you'll know in a minute what I'm saying. And here, this is your JSP init method, overriding form of it. This is our own method. This is the overriding, this is the overriding form of the JSP destroy method. And you know that JSP service somewhere. Here's your JSP service. And there you don't have to read the whole thing. Impossible. It's a container generated code, too complex. And basically you're not expected to also. So here I'll tell you line number 148 around, because I don't know, you have written your own JSP. So the increment method is called. And what is that increment method? Returning the counter value. And that I just said percent equal to increment. So when you say anything as a JSP expression, the result is sent back using JSP writers print or write methods. And that is how you are seeing it. Can match the translated code to what we had written. Nobody asks you to, nobody expects you to understand line by line, but people might sometime ask you, for example, that if you write something in a JSP, such as, in the declaration block, where does it appear? Or given the following choices, that is why the effort. So let us take a 10 minutes break here. I'll just create a zip again in case you want it. So where are we? For B7.1. And in case you missed out anything in between, you can just take a look at it, or especially the last one, in case you want. Okay, so I have sent you day 7.17. Let's resume in 10 minutes and continue with the other parts. What we finished is the basic half of the JSP. So now I'll take you to something called as the directives and later the actions in 10 minutes. Welcome back. And I hope you got some idea about the first half of JSP elements. Just one thing I thought of, we'll do that and we'll go to the JSP directives. So let me just open this. Continue. Continue in this, which method, which test2.jsp. So you can say here, I just wanted to prove that whatever data members you add, whether it is a static or non-static, they are actually private to the page. So let's confirm that. Just add a link here to take it to the next page. Okay. So you can say anchor tag href. This was test2, so make it test3.jsp. And next. I'm telling you again, whatever you don't understand, it becomes so easy to test it because you don't have to write too much of Java code and all that. Oh, sorry. Have I written it? No, my mistake. This link has to be the part of your body tag. By mistake, I wrote it outside. So within the body tag, again a mistake. In the body tag, I wanted to. Yeah, sorry. So now, what we are going to do is, we are going to try to display the value of the counter from the next page. So let's see whether it works or not. So the next page you write is test3.jsp, web app, new JSP, test3.jsp, and give some information. So that whenever you are revising it in the lab, you will know what it is. Counter. So here, I'm just trying to access it in a normal manner, percent equal to counter. It will give you the error. It will say it cannot be resolved to a variable. Ignore it. Let's actually see what happens. You understood what I asked you to do? See this. It's not a difficult flow at all. When you click on testing JSP declaration, the next request is going to test2.jsp. In test2.jsp, just before the break, we added some members, data members, method members, and all that in the declaration block. And now I have just given a link, as you can see here, test3.jsp, to take it to the next page. And from next page, we are trying to display the value of the counter. So what do you expect to see? Will you see the value? Can the whatever you declare in the declaration block, will it be accessible to any other page? Answer is no. So this is what we want to just confirm. So go to your client-side browser. You can say back. Refresh. Oh, I've not started the server. I had stopped the server. I need to start the server. So just start the server. I had stopped this. So let this start. Then go to the client-side browser. As you can see, you are looking at this. So this is also fine. The visit counter is all incrementing. So this is where we had stopped at. And now take a look at it and tell me what you got. Translation time error, compilation error, or the output. You take a look at it. 404? Not really. You should not get 404. That means something else you have messed up, Prashant. You should get a 500 internal server error. And if you go down, what is the error you are having? I was asking you a precise question. Translation time error, compilation time error, or the output? It's a I'm so sorry, compilation time error. Because it is telling you counter cannot be resolved to a variable. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Counter variable, what is the scope of this counter? test2.jsp or test3.jsp? Tell me. What is the scope of it? Where we have declared it? We have declared it in test2.jsp. So how can you access anything which is outside? You cannot. Okay. So this is what I just wanted to confirm. I wanted you to understand. And you can see the same thing, that you will get a compile, an error occurred, unable to compile this class. So test3.jsp could not be compiled because there was a unknown variable. I mean, variable counter cannot be resolved to a variable. Okay. So this is what I wanted to say regarding first half. So do a minute's recap and we'll go to JSP directives. We started with comments. So here, server side, percent hyphen and closing tag. And the client side comments are the same as your HTML comments. So which ones are we going to use throughout in JSP? Server side or client side? Answer is server side. They are called as JSP style comments. Okay. So why bother putting it in the translation page and compilation and send it all the way? So you know that. Then we looked at list of implicit objects. So technically speaking, other than page and page context, of course, out is JSP writer, equivalent to your print writer. But other than that, other than page and page context, we have already seen all the rest of it in servlet. So whenever you are doing a revision, 1.5 hours, whatever it takes you, open that readme JSP, open this diagram, and most importantly, open the code. And you can trace it. So everyone knows who all can access this. You can access it from the scriptlets, expressions, but will you be able to access them using JSP declaration block? Absolutely not. Because, and I'll tell you the reason. JSP declaration block is not translated into JSP service, and these are created from inside JSP service. So I've written all the important stuff already. Only you can access these members, these variables, pre-configured variables can be accessed only from scriptlet and expression. Then I showed you 3 different type of scripting elements. Scriptlets, plain old Java code. Like how we used to write it by overriding your do star method. Here you don't have any class, anything. Within the body tag, open the scriptlet and whatever your request processing logic, any business logic, calling some client pool, server pool, anything and everything, you will write it in the scriptlet. Then I showed you percent equal to, that is JSP expression. And then we also talked about a shortcut syntax, EL syntax, a better syntax, expression language, dollar and curly braces. And I showed you some of the EL implicit objects. Then lastly, towards the end, I also showed you the JSP declaration block, where you can declare the members, data members, method members. You can override the lifecycle methods. And you saw that they are not added within the JSP service. They are kept outside the JSP service at a class level. So tell me, you got some idea so far? Before I enter JSP directive and JSP actions, got some idea? Of course, it will require a revision. Naturally, that is where the whole lab session comes in. Okay. So now let us talk about JSP directives. So I'm going to discuss two out of three. The taglib directive I generally take with JSP standard, JSTL. So we are discussing page header include here. So before that, open this and read about what is a JSP directive, the syntax and the meaning of that page directive. Just read this much. Okay, start reading along with me. I'm going to explain. Today directives, tomorrow actions. So when you talk about JSP directives and later JSP actions, they are nothing but the commands, instructions meant for whom? Meant for your web container, which can be identified as JSP container, JSP engine, servlet container, all the same. But there's a difference. When we are talking about directives, those directives are totally processed, totally used, totally processed is the better word in the translation phase. I'll rephrase my statement. Will JSP directives will they have any impact after the translation phase, such as in compilation and runtime? Absolutely nothing. But when I start you tomorrow on JSP actions, you will see that JSP actions play a role. Those are all dynamic actions, runtime actions. So they will be processed at the runtime. That's your directive versus action. Now look at the syntax. Okay, how many directives are we talking about? Mainly three: page directive, include directive, and a taglib directive. Taglib tomorrow. So let us start identifying the overall syntax and then I'll talk about page directive. So here, opening tag percent any JSP at the rate percent and at the rate that begins a directive. What are the three directive names? Either page or include or your taglib. And a directive can have multiple attributes. So guys, whenever you are talking about attribute list, attribute name is equal to within the double quotes attribute value and then space. So now this was a generic syntax, general syntax. I'm talking about now page directive, which we are starting in couple of minutes. So when you say page directive, those are the instructions, commands, messages meant for all the pages in a web application or a particular page, current page, Answer is only page specific commands. If you write a page directive in 1.jsp, of course it will be applicable to 1.jsp and not to 2.jsp, 3.jsp, etc. Okay, so that is given. Now look at the syntax. How do you do this? Percent at the rate is typical. You can add it anywhere in the page outside the body tag. Typically, we add it like how we have an import list and all right in the beginning. We add it at the top of the page. Then comes the name of the directive. And these are some of the examples of the attribute. So let me highlight and tell me what is the attribute name here and what is the value? Import is the name of the attribute and the comma separated list of packages are the values. Take a look at actual example. Import, okay, manage the spaces, otherwise you'll start getting errors. Percent at the rate, space, name of the directive page, import, and here, suppose I want to import all the classes interfaces from java.util. There's no static import, by the way. And here you have simple date format. So this is it. Another, okay, now I'm going to show you some more things also, but basically I wanted to explain the syntax. Now, why don't you open our first page, index.jsp. And now I can explain the things. Okay, what I'll do is you'll see a red cross here, test3.jsp. You know the problem now. You can keep it under comment. You can keep this much under the comment. Control/Shift/. So it will remove the red cross. Anyway, so if you keep it that, then nothing is going to hurt it. Only thing is you'll see your red cross there. So coming back to the point, now let us solve your page directive. So start answering. When you see %@, here I'm not even given the space, still it works. But generally norm is give space separated one. So here, tell me, what is the name of the directive you are using? Page. What is the name of the attribute we are using? Import. Isn't it same as earlier in core Java we used to say import java.util.date. Here you have import equal to. And can you just add one package or multiple comma separated packages? I told you multiple. So it could be combined into one also. Is everyone clear with the page directives import attribute? Nothing complex. Next one. Take a look at this one. Which is the, what is it called? Which is the only scripting language JSP allows? Any scripting language or only Java? Only Java. It doesn't support any Kotlin or Ruby or Groovy or whatever. So only the Java language. And take a look at this and I'll ask you a question. So answer this. We were doing servlets just in last week. So in any servlet, when you start overriding do get do post, what is the first thing we used to write in any do get do post typically? First line, first method in our this set content type. You are that, and everyone knows when you say response.set content type, it was setting that MIME header, or to be precise, it was setting that content type header and telling the browser that this is your HTML content or whatever. So now take a look at the highlighted one, easy, and tell me, do you ever have to say response.set content type sitting in a JSP? Answer is absolutely not, because there is a page directive attribute. This is all created as a template. We never had to type it. I just chose that UTF-8. Otherwise, it was ISO Latin. So we just choose the whatever. I mean, the name of the attribute is content type. Content type is text/HTML. And we gave the additional one. The character set it is using is UTF-8. So guys, we are going from larger, more and more Java code to lesser Java code. The moment you go to advanced frameworks, this is a journey. I can't show you what we are going to write on the last day just today. You will not understand. So the point is basically it is code reduction. And then there is another attribute called as page encoding, also UTF-8. So this was to give you some names of the attributes and their values. Now, so this was the first one done. Now there is a next attribute. Read this and I'll talk to you. Again, the question. If you want to enable the session tracking in a servlet, which is the method a servlet programmer has to call? This is a revision of servlet and a JSP today. You know that. Which is the method request.getSession. After coming to JSP, I have shown you so many times that session ID, remembering the client details, that user details and all that. So did we ever require to call this method request.getSession? Have we called it even once since morning? Answer is no. Why? Because I gave you a loose answer in the earlier, because we never reached here. For every JSP, the container implicitly is giving you the session object. But now the reason is, listen to it's not a difficult thing at all, but just worth knowing. So here, what is session? It is the attribute name of a page directive. It's a Boolean value, Boolean attribute, and the default value of true. So in short, when you don't mention any page directive attribute, the default attribute value is what? Session equal to true. Means what? In this case, when you kept the default, is your container going to create a HTTP session object for that particular page? 100% yes. But if you want to disable, in the rare cases, If you don't want to, you want to go for setlessation, maybe. I mean, setlessness. You don't want to remember the client. If you want to disable the session tracking, then you will have to say specifically session equal to false. Understood? So a minute recap. Session here, as far as page directive is concerned, is the attribute having the Boolean type, default value true. So in most of the cases, you will not even touch it. But in case you see something, in that case, the session equal to false. If you want to disable or disable is the word, session tracking, you can use it. Like I said, most of the cases you don't. Now, so these were all only not really useful. But now what I'm discussing, the next two attributes, we are going to use them actually till I show you Spring MVC error handling. In short, this is nothing but centralized error handling in JSP. So read that and I'll discuss. This is useful. This is not just a theoretical thing. We'll actually use. So you read this. I'll check whether I have given you that diagram. I'm not given you that diagram. This you won't require today. 2 minutes. You keep reading that, please. So let me show you this. Okay, so what we are discussing here is the centralized error handling in a JSP. So first let me explain. Then as usual, I'll show you the problem and we'll see the solution. Solution is two tags, sorry, not two tags, two attributes. Error page and is error page does the whole job. You'll see. So I'm not sharing it. It's, hardly worth it. So listen to the statements I'm making. Don't look at these two. That will come little later. So in a web application, suppose you have written 10 JSPs, which is what? 1.jsp, 2.jsp, 3.jsp till the 10.jsp. And these JSPs are not dummy pages. They are actually doing some business logic. In short, this could be doing some IO. This could be doing some database, some other business logic, whatever. So in short, they could be having, if the business logic, in case of business logic failure, they will have exceptions, runtime errors, exceptions. So the question being asked is, same question we had discussed in core Java exception handling. Which idea appeals to you? Which idea sounds better? Which option sounds better? Adding try-catch block in individual pages and doing the individual handling, error handling, or centralized error handling? You know the answer. So that is what I'm trying to show you. So how do you do this? Like I said, with a couple of tags. So before I explain these tags, anyway, I'll send you this because that will make you, keep you consistent. Just a second. So error handling. Yeah, so you can take a look at it. And in the meantime, we are going to force some error and we'll see what happens when you don't do the centralized error handling versus what happens when you do the error handling. Okay, so open index.jsp and let's add the next link here. Test 2, test 3 is done, I guess. Yeah, so let's say test 4.jsp, something. Testing error handling. in JSP. Okay, so you have this. Just create a link. It's going to be a very easy example. Tomorrow, all the things will come back again: database, DAO layer, POJOs, and you will learn a very interesting concept called as JavaBean. I'm saying something ahead of time till you are catching up. If you see your contents again, I mean, some of the contents I don't agree with. So they have not mentioned JavaBean anywhere in your content. But on the other hand, they have mentioned MVC. And of course, MVC is important. So I can't take model view controller. I cannot explain model view controller without JavaBean. So of course, you are going to learn JavaBeans. And next, my next, what do you say, agenda or real reason behind showing you JavaBeans is once you understand the interaction between JSP JavaBean or later servlet JavaBean, you understand the Spring Beans, which is the backbone of Spring framework. So all of that you'll have it tomorrow. I mean, not Spring, but JSP and JavaBeans tomorrow. So I think I've given you sufficient time. So let us write the test4.jsp web app new JSP test4. Very simple code, two-liner. The whole idea is error handling. So here I'm saying just result of whatever execution. So 100 divided by 10. You will be wondering what is happening. In 2 minutes, you'll understand that. So I'll just ask you a small question. Tell me, what will you call result? Options. Without options, you won't understand. First option. Is it a instance variable? Okay, first option, instance variable. Second option, method local variable. Third option, page scoped attribute, or none of above. Yes, please. Page scoped attribute? Wrong answer. Have I created? Okay, guys, good I asked you. If you want to create a page scoped attribute, which is the method you will have to call? Page context dot set attribute. So think little harder. Whatever I write in a scriptlet, where does it appear in the translated page? Don't trust me. After in your lunch, not lunch break, what is it, lab session, check it out. Tell me, whatever I write in a scriptlet, where does it get translated into quickly? No idea. No. Whatever I write, yeah, Anshu answered me this. JSP service, what are you answering? Of course, I'm not asking you the name of the page. I said where. So where in JSP, in it JSP destroy or underscore JSP service, underscore JSP service. So guys, this result variable will be declared where? In the page as an instance variable, static variable, method local variable, or is it an attribute? Quickly. Of course, it is a method local variable local to your JSP service. 100% right out because you gave me, most of you gave me the wrong answer. I think 1 or 2 only gave me the correct answer. Okay, so here it is, but I want to display it also. So if you want to display me, send it to the client browser in the response. If it is a method local variable, I'll mention it. Result, oh, result is a method local variable. Local to which method? Local to underscore JSP service. You just have to look into the translated page and you'll understand. Okay, so now if it is any method local variable, instance variable, it is best, it is not best, it is better to access it with the not EL syntax. EL syntax is better for attributes. So here, let us access it using your JSP expression. So percent equal to, I'll just put it in a things and I'll see here result equal to. Here, simply access it. Nothing difficult. Sending you. Okay. Two-liner. Done this much? Just write some numerator, I mean division, and print the result. Those who are thinking page scope attribute for them. How to create it's actually out of context, but still there's a confusion, so I have to solve it. How to create a page scope attribute? Anyone wants to tell me which method to use for adding a page scope attribute? Set attribute or get attribute? Set or get? I want to add the attribute in the current page scope. Which one? Set attribute. But the invoker object, now think and answer. Will it be page context dot set attribute? Okay, three options. Will it be page dot set? Okay, will it be page dot set attribute, page context dot set attribute, or page scope dot set attribute? Page context or page scope? Page context is the correct answer. You don't have page is just a translated page class instance, doesn't have set attribute. Page scope is the name of the map which you can access with the EL syntax. So here, tomorrow with JSTL things will change, but today you don't know JSTL. So please use the page context dot set attribute. You'll see the others. I'm saying something, some name and some value. Because somebody said, not somebody, majority said page scope attribute. So tell me now, what will you call NM? Is it a method local variable? Is it some static variable? Is it a instance variable? Or is it a page scope attribute name? Understanding this? See guys, I'm telling you once again at the cost of irritating you, understanding things in JSP, you might get confused, but clearing that confusion is so easy. So please mention it as page scope attribute name. And now answer, since we anyway started the discussion, if you want to access this page scope attribute, which is a simpler syntax, of course, I can use it with the scriptlet JSP expression percent equal to page context dot get attribute. But is there any shortcut? Of course, EL syntax. Very right. So here, add another not SOP. I mean, yeah, but kind of a display. And here I'm saying page scope attribute via. Once again, I'm saying you write a scriptlet and you say out.print page context dot get attribute over, or percent equal to page context dot get attribute. Shortcut is EL accessing attributes. So dollar. And here, if I say only NM, oh, which will be faster? Calling explicitly page scope dot NM will be faster, or dollar $NM will be faster? Trick question. Same it is. Both are same. Abhijit is right. Guys, the first search, where the web container is going to search it first? In the page scope map. Are you getting me? First it will search in page scope, and then the request, and then session, and then application. So answer is both are same. So, but for your understanding, I'm just explicitly mentioning it as. So label it somewhere only for us understanding, not a efficiency purpose at all. Because at the end of the day, you get solid confused. Sometimes she says, I say page, sometimes I say page context, sometimes I say page scope. So better to use. And now go to the save it, go to the client side. This thing, index.jsp, refresh it. And here, error handling in JSP. Currently, we are not doing any error handling. There's no error. So what will you handle? So as expected, result 10. And you have seen the value of a page scope attribute. Is everyone clear so far? Somewhat clear, 1%, 2% maybe. You know, why I said 1%, 2%? Not for your understanding, for the syntax. You are seeing so much of syntax. That's why. All good? All got the answer? Now I think you know what I'm going to do. Okay, tell me. What do you expect to see? Obviously, make the denominator 0. What is it you expect to see? Quickly. Don't run it and tell me. You're supposed to tell me without running it. Yes, please. Of course, a runtime exception. Why it is taking you so long to respond? Which exception, guys? Arithmetic exception. What else? Divided by 0. So now go back to the client side and you can simply say refresh. And anytime you get a server-side error, 500 series is the server-side errors and exception. Internal server error, it tells you exactly line number 14, line number 11, and it tells you 100/0, and it is giving you the root cause and sending the entire stack trace to the client browser. Got it so far? Got exactly the same thing? Okay. Now think harder. I could have managed it by wrapping it in a try-catch block, but the whole idea is I don't want to. And the other thing is, you tell me, is it a good web designing practice to send the entire stack trace to the client and confuse it, or just to give a error message is sufficient? This is a horrible practice. No good site, no good website should reveal so much. Why you want to reveal that, okay, there is an arithmetic exception and all that? Nobody, the client, the end user is a dumb user, it's a non-Java user, not technical user. So why he needs to know anything? Absolutely not. So how to handle it? Answer is centralized error handling. So today, in the last 2-3 minutes, I'm just investing and we are stopping here. Today, you won't get a feel of it. I mean, you won't get an impact. Tomorrow by this time, you will have the full-fledged ladder. Which ladder we were using? Ladder means layers. Which layers were we using in a servlet? Servlet, DAO, using DB utils, POJOs, and database. So tomorrow, but okay, the point is, servlet was overburdened with presentation logic and the business logic and the whole thing. So we will take a job list of a servlet, same CMS, content management system, but I'll not solve the whole thing because JSP, the objective is very less. So we'll take whatever we were doing in maybe authentication servlet or that login servlet and separate it in some part in JSP and some part in JavaBeans. So let me come back to the point. So which are the layers we are going to use tomorrow when I take you to JSP actions? JSP using JavaBeans, and JavaBeans will manage the DAO layer, and DAO layer and below will be 100% same. So that is what we are going to exercise tomorrow. So that time you will have a full idea about centralized exception handling, centralized error handling. Will you be handling the exceptions in the DAO layer? No. You will say throws. We have already said throws. Are you understanding me? Everywhere we are delegating. So till today or in the last week, your servlet was calling the DAO layer method. Now your bean, there is a component called a JavaBeans coming up tomorrow. So JavaBeans will call a DAO layer method. But will it do the error handling, or will it delegate to the JSP, the topmost layer? It will delegate it to JSP. And the best part is, are we going to wait a sec? That's why I sent you that diagram. There is that diagram. Oh, this is where I showed you. I don't know whether. Anyway, so I'm not finding it. Maybe I kept it somewhere else. JSP error. Yeah, it is. I found it finally. So the point is, even after it is delegated in JSP, do you want to really handle it in JSP? Answer is no. So now come to the point. Let's come to the point. Even if there is an error in any JSPs or any of the layers below, just using couple of tags, we are going to delegate the entire error handling and centralize it in a one. I mean, you can create multiple error handling pages. Typically, I show one. So coming back to the point, how do you tell web container? Web container, I told you, is like your slave. You just have to give the instructions. So how do you tell web container that if any error comes on any of these pages, this is your error handler page? Answer is pretty easy. Page directive attribute. So look up here. %@ directive. Which directive we are using? Page. What is the name of the attribute? Error page. And here you have to supply. Web container is not a magician. How will it know which page and all that? There are no annotations and all that. So here you'll have to supply the name of the page. So suppose we write error handler.jsp, be it. Similarly, you'll have to mention it in the 2.jsp, 3.jsp, wherever you want to delegate the error handling. Now come to this side. Okay, sorry, I should say. So once you do this, whenever there is any error occurring in any of the layers, including JSP, JavaBeans, DAO, or whatever, your web container will forward the client. See the word I'm using, forward. So when I say forward, will the navigation happen in the same request or in the next request? Of course, it will happen in the same request, meaning whose URL your client will see, 1.jsp or error handler.jsp? Tell me, I need to see this answer. Whose URL client browser will see, 1.jsp or error handler.jsp? Of course, 1.jsp, very right. Okay, so your whatever client doesn't even know who is really handling it. And now last statement, and then we'll try this. How do you tell web container that whatever follows is an error handling page? Because by default pages are not error handling. So there is one attribute, Boolean attribute. What is the name of the attribute? Is error page. What is the default value of it? True or false? Default value is false. So you'll have to enable it to true, and we'll see in a minute what happens and continue tomorrow. Okay. So open the this thing, open the code, and here which one I'm opening? test4.jsp. Here just add. I can add a new directive also, but I don't want to waste time looking at time. So just add this thing, error page tag. So you can say error and control space, error page. You can see the data type is URI. You are supplying the URI of that error handler page. I've not written anything. So suppose I say any name, abc.jsp will do. Just to tell you that it is your centralized error handler. Suppose I write this. So 1/2 is done. It took me a lot of time to explain, but the actual application in JSP is really easy. Now, do we have this page or do we have to create it? Of course, you have to create it. Nothing, I mean, it doesn't happen automatically. So just copy this and put it. You can keep it under any folder under web app, not web-inf though. But currently I'm keeping everything under the root. So new JSP, last page of today, error handler. So is it by default error handler? Absolutely not. So which is the attribute you'll have to enable? Is error page. You can see it's having two values, true or false. Default value is false. Just change it to true. Got me so far? And I mean, did so far? Okay. So now you know all those JSP implicit objects: request, response, session, application, config, out, etc. But which one was not accessible earlier? Which object was not accessible earlier? Which JSP implicit object we could not access? Exception. Can I access it here? 100% yes. The moment is error page equal to true. So just add something. And add this time red means error. Style. You can say color. I'm not saying background color, just color. And here whatever. So you're saying that error message. So we said we just want to, suppose you want to, we will elaborate it more either in the lab or tomorrow. I just want to print that, okay, some error message. And here you can use so many things. I'm going to show you so many ways. Easiest in 1 minute, JSP expression. And can I access this exception object here? Very much yes. But if I say exception, it will call exception.toString. And you remember what that toString will do? Fully qualified class name. and the error message. So if I say no, I don't want to give so much of information to the client. I hope you remember we used to write try catch all e dot get message. So you can use that and we'll see what happens and stop right there. So the whole thing gets over with two tags. I mean, not two tags, two attributes I meant. The one here you have is error page and the other one is error page. There are further shortcuts, but tomorrow. So I think I have saved it. Just go back here and do this and tell me. Are you sending the entire stack trace to the client or just an error message? Are you getting this? So it is just an error message. But on the server side, of course, if you open that last thing as a server side console, 100% you'll get the stack trace. And this is for us to debug. So same thing, root cause, arithmetic exception, etc. So got some idea about centralized error handling in JSP using is error page and error page. So we'll build on that more when we have the elaborate JSP to the database ladder all tomorrow. So before I'm stopping here, before I join this, of course, there will be instructions in that, whatever advanced Java instructions and all, but definitely revise. During revision, read me JSP, diagrams, API docs, and the code. Keep all the things together. And of course, I'll get it revised if you insist. Anytime if you say so, I'll definitely get it. But what you have to do is just import day 7.1 or your own project and simply follow the links. So trace all the links and within an hour's time, you will be able to revise everything. And then we'll discuss the assignment together and solve. D5 CMS lab. Okay, I'll upload. I have not uploaded, Ankit. Okay, I'll upload it. I'll check. If I have not, I'll upload that also. That will be all. See you in the labs.